Welcome back, Lincoln Currency. Alright, let's dive straight into part 1 of your long-form YouTube script narration about the 1981 United States 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln penny, written as a spoken-style script without headings, captions, or breaks, just as if someone is talking in a video and telling a very long and detailed story about this tiny coin that has fascinated collectors, historians, and even treasure hunters around the world for decades. So sit back and imagine this as the voice of a passionate coin collector and historian explaining one of the most iconic coins in American history, the humble yet extraordinary 1981 1-cent piece, a coin that, despite its tiny size and face value, has in some cases reached values that seem almost unbelievable, with some examples rumored or reported to be worth millions, even up to $99 million under the right circumstances. Let's start with the most basic fact, because every great story starts with a simple detail, and this one starts with copper. The 1981 United States 1-cent coin was part of the long and storied lineage of the Lincoln cent series, a coin first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The idea of placing a real person, a president no less, on a circulating American coin was revolutionary at the time. Before 1909, liberty had been the central figure on most US coins, but the public sentiment had shifted, and the enduring legacy of Lincoln as the great emancipator, the leader who preserved the Union, made him the perfect figure to symbolize American values. The result was the Lincoln cent, a coin whose design would last for generations, becoming one of the most produced and most recognized coins on the planet. By the time 1981 rolled around, the Lincoln cent had already gone through decades of production, but this particular year is deeply significant for collectors for a number of reasons. It was the final full year that the United States Mint struck the penny with a primarily copper composition before switching in 1982 to a mostly zinc core with a thin copper coating. That means that the 1981 1-cent coin is one of the last classic copper pennies, and that alone makes it historically interesting and often more desirable to collectors. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams, a detail that serious collectors and graders always check because weight can confirm authenticity and composition. This weight comes from its traditional alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, a metal blend that gives older pennies their distinctive feel and slightly heavier weight compared to the modern zinc-based versions, which weigh only about 2.5 grams. On the obverse, or front, of the 1981 penny, you will find the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, are subtly placed on the shoulder of Lincoln's bust, a detail that itself is part of numismatic lore because in the first year of issue, 1909, the initials were placed prominently on the reverse, causing public controversy and leading to their removal for decades. By 1918, they returned, but discreetly, on the obverse where they remain to this day. Lincoln's portrait, unchanged in basic form since 1909, shows him in profile facing right, his expression calm and dignified, capturing the solemnity and strength of America's 16th president. Above his head arcs the national motto, "In God We Trust," while to the left appears the word, "Liberty," and to the right the date, 1981. Beneath the date may also appear a mint mark, such as a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or no mint mark at all for coins minted in Philadelphia. Flip the coin over, and the reverse design of the 1981 penny is equally iconic. It features the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears reverse used from 1909 to 1958. This change marked the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Lincoln Memorial design, created by Frank Gasparo, is a miniature masterpiece of numismatic art. Not only does it show the monument with remarkable detail, but if you look closely, and many collectors do, even with a magnifying glass, you can see a tiny seated figure of Lincoln visible through the central columns of the memorial. Above the memorial are the words, "United States of America." Below it the denomination, 1 cent, and above the monument itself, the national motto, "E pluribus unum," which translates to, "Out of many, one." This design remained on the penny for 50 years, making the 1981 issue part of one of the longest-running coin designs in US history. Its familiar look, coppery glow, and sturdy weight all contribute to the nostalgia that many Americans feel when they hold one of these coins in their hands. And yet, beyond nostalgia, there is another reason collectors prize 1981 pennies: rarity and value in certain varieties and conditions. The truth is, most 1981 pennies are still worth about their face value, or perhaps a few cents more if they're in uncirculated condition. They were minted by the billions, over 12 billion across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. But here's where the story takes a turn into the fascinating world of numismatics, where small differences can mean massive value. Within those billions of coins are rare varieties, mint errors, and perfectly preserved examples that transform a 1-cent piece into a treasure worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even, under extraordinary circumstances, far more. In fact, there are persistent rumors and auction stories of ultra-rare error pennies from 1981 being valued in the tens of millions, sometimes even cited as being worth $99 million in private sales or speculative valuations. While such numbers often reflect sensational headlines or exaggerated stories, they speak to a real truth. Some coins, because of their rarity, condition, or historical importance, become priceless to collectors who are willing to pay virtually any price to own them. One of the most significant factors affecting the value of a 1981 penny is its condition, graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless, mint-state coin. Coins that were never circulated, stored carefully, and show no wear or damage can command premium prices, especially if they receive high grades from professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. A 1981 penny graded MS67 or MS68 red, referring to the full original copper luster, can easily fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. And if the coin is a rare proof strike from the San Francisco Mint, struck with specially prepared dies and polished planchets for collectors, its value can be even higher. But where things get truly exciting for collectors is in the realm of errors and varieties. Mint errors occur when something unusual happens during the minting process. A doubled die, a misaligned strike, a clipped planchet, or an off-center strike can all create coins that deviate from the norm. While most errors are minor and add little to a coin's value, some are so dramatic or rare that they become legendary. A 1981 penny with a major double die obverse, for example, showing doubling on the date or lettering, could be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars depending on its condition. Off-metal errors, where the coin was mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination, are even rarer and can command astronomical prices. And it's in these extreme cases that the sensational multi-million-dollar valuations sometimes emerge. Especially if the error is unique, or tied to a historically significant batch. There's also an interesting footnote in the history of the 1981 penny involving transitional planchets. Because 1982 was the year the mint switched from copper to zinc, a few experimental strikes and transitional errors may exist from 1981 or early 1982 where a coin was struck with the wrong composition. These coins are vanishingly rare, and if authenticated, they would represent some of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever discovered, potentially worth hundreds of thousands or even millions to a determined collector. Now let's talk about symbolism. Because coins are more than metal and numbers, they are miniature works of art and symbols of national identity. The Lincoln cent, with its profile of one of America's most beloved presidents, and its depiction of a monument dedicated to freedom and unity, carries immense cultural weight. In God we trust, liberty, and E pluribus unum, are not just words, they are pillars of the American story, and each appears on this small, humble coin that circulates in the billions. Yet within those billions lies the chance of discovery, the possibility that one ordinary-looking cent could be something extraordinary, a hidden gem among the common, waiting to be found. And this is where the fascination with the 1981 penny truly lies. For most people, a penny is nothing, a forgotten coin in a couch cushion, a piece of change left in a tip jar. But for collectors, for historians, for treasure hunters, each penny is a mystery, and 1981 is one of the most intriguing years of all. The year before the great composition change. The final breath of the classic copper era. The year when billions were made, and yet some of the rarest varieties hide among them. And the knowledge that one of those coins, in the right condition or with the right error, could be worth not just hundreds or thousands but potentially millions fuels a passion that spans generations. Imagine the story. A coin minted in 1981, perhaps tossed in a pocket, forgotten for decades, rediscovered by a collector with a magnifying glass and a keen eye. Maybe it's a double die. Maybe it's a proof struck on the wrong planchet. Maybe it's the single known transitional error that connects two eras of American coinage. Suddenly, that coin, once worth 1 cent, is W. Absolutely. Let's continue the journey with part 2 of our long and detailed narration about the 1981 United States 1-cent coin, diving deeper into its fascinating world of rarity, collector passion, historical context, and how a humble coin can command unimaginable sums in today's numismatic market. We've already explored its design, weight, symbolism, and the foundation of its value, but now it's time to go further, into the deep end of coin collecting where knowledge, patience, and a little bit of luck can turn a single penny into a fortune that can change someone's life forever. To understand why the 1981 Lincoln cent holds such a special place in the hearts of collectors, we need to look at the broader picture of the Lincoln cent series and how this particular year fits into that narrative. By 1981, the Lincoln cent had been in continuous production for 72 years, making it one of the longest-running coin series in the world. Generations of Americans grew up seeing Lincoln's profile in their pockets, their piggy banks, and their cash registers. And in those decades, countless billions of cents had been minted, each one slightly different in tone, luster, strike, and quality. But not all coins are created equal. Some years are known for their commonness, others for their scarcity, and still others for their errors. 1981 is a unique intersection of all three. It is common in quantity, but exceptional in significance, and potentially spectacular in value. One of the most misunderstood aspects of coin collecting, especially among beginners, is the concept of condition. It's not enough for a coin to simply be old. What truly separates a valuable coin from a worthless one is its state of preservation. When a coin leaves the mint, it is at its peak condition, bright, lustrous, flawless. The moment it enters circulation, it begins to degrade. It gets nicked, scratched, worn down by countless hands and pockets. The vast majority of 1981 pennies you'll find in your change today are in circulated condition, showing wear on Lincoln's cheek, flattening of the memorial details, and a general dullness that comes from decades of use. Such coins, even though they are over 40 years old, are usually worth only a few cents. But coins that have never circulated, those that were pulled straight from mint rolls, preserved in albums, or sealed in mint sets, can be a different story altogether. These uncirculated coins, known in numismatics as mint state, are graded on a scale from MS-60 to MS-70. The higher the grade, the more perfect the coin. An MS-60 coin may have minor marks but no wear. An MS-65 is considered gem quality, with brilliant luster and strong strike. An MS-67 or MS-68 is extremely rare, often with virtually no visible flaws even under magnification. And an MS-69 or MS-70 penny is so close to perfection that only a handful may exist from a given year. These high-grade coins are the ones that fetch eye-popping prices at auction. Collectors and investors compete fiercely for them because they represent the best of the best, the pinnacle of mint craftsmanship and preservation. Grading is both a science and an art, and serious collectors trust third-party grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, to authenticate and grade their coins. A 1981 penny graded MS-68 read by one of these services can sell for several $1,000s. If it's a proof coin, struck with mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp detail at the San Francisco Mint, the value can be even higher, especially if it's a deep cameo example with strong contrast between the raised design and the mirrored background. But grading isn't the only factor that influences value. Mint errors and varieties are where the real treasure lies, and 1981 is no exception. Let's explore some of the most notable types of errors and varieties that collectors dream about. Point one of the most famous and sought-after varieties in any coin series is the doubled die. This occurs when the coin's design is accidentally impressed twice on the die at slightly different angles or positions, resulting in a doubled appearance on the struck coin. On a 1981 penny, a doubled die obverse might show doubling on the date, the word Liberty, or the phrase, "In God We Trust." Such coins are rare and highly prized, often selling for thousands of dollars even in circulated condition. The degree of doubling, its visibility, and the coin's condition all affect its value. The more dramatic and easily visible the doubling, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. Off-center strikes are another popular error type. These occur when the coin blank, or planchet, is not properly centered in the press during striking, causing the design to be shifted and part of the blank to remain unstruck. Depending on how far off center the strike is, the value can range from a few hundred to several $1,000s. A 1981 penny struck 50% off center with a full date visible is a rare and exciting find that can command serious money. Then there are planchet errors, where something goes wrong with the metal blank itself. A clipped planchet, where a portion of the blank is missing, creates a distinctive curved or straight edge on the coin and can significantly increase its value. Even rarer are wrong planchet errors, where a penny is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination. For example, a 1981 penny struck on a dime planchet, resulting in a lighter, smaller coin, would be an extraordinary find worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. One of the most elusive and valuable errors involves transitional planchets, coins struck with the wrong metal composition during a period of change. Since 1982 marked the shift from copper to zinc planchets, any 1981 penny struck on a zinc planchet or any 1982 struck on a copper planchet would be considered a major transitional error. Authenticated examples of such coins are numismatic gold, with values that can reach into the 5 or 6-figure range. If one were ever discovered with perfect documentation and provenance, it could conceivably become one of the most valuable pennies ever sold. Stories of extraordinary finds continue to fuel public fascination. Tales circulate of coins purchased for pocket change and later sold for tens of thousands at auction. One famous case involved a high-grade 1981 penny found in an old coin roll that fetched thousands of dollars due to its pristine condition. Another story tells of a dramatic off-metal strike penny discovered in a collection, which later sold for a sum that dwarfed its face value by more than 100,000 times. Such stories, whether they end with 5 figures, 6 figures, or even speculative talk of 99 million, serve as reminders of the incredible potential hiding in the most unexpected places. But beyond the technicalities of grading and errors lies another layer of the coin's story, its historical and cultural context. 1981 was a pivotal year in American history. It was the first year of Ronald Reagan's presidency, a period marked by economic shifts, geopolitical challenges, and a renewed sense of American identity. The penny, bearing the image of Lincoln, a president whose leadership defined the nation's character, continued to symbolize resilience, unity, and democratic ideals. Every time a 1981 penny changed hands, it carried that symbolism with it, a tiny ambassador of America's past and present. The year also marked the end of an era in American coinage. The looming transition from copper to zinc was more than a simple metallurgical change. It was a reflection of changing economic realities. Rising copper prices meant that the metal in each penny was becoming more valuable than the coin's face value. The mint's decision to switch to a cheaper composition was a practical necessity, but it also marked the close of a chapter. The 1981 penny, as one of the last of its kind, stands as a monument to that era, a tangible connection to a time when pennies were heavy with copper and history. And this is part of what gives the 1981 penny its mystique today. It's not just a coin, it's a time capsule. When you hold one, you're holding a piece of the late 20th century, a link to the people, events, and values that shaped that moment in history. For many collectors, that connection is as important as the monetary value. It's what makes the pursuit worthwhile, what transforms collecting from a hobby into a passion. The market for rare 1981 pennies reflects this blend of history, rarity, and demand. While common circulated examples are worth little more than face value, high-grade mint state coins, rare errors, and special varieties can sell for anywhere from a few hundred to tens of thousands of dollars. The upper end of the market, the realm of one-of-a-kind errors, perfect grades, and legendary provenance, is where we see those sensational valuations that capture headlines. While it's unlikely that a 1981 penny has ever sold for $99 million in a public auction, the fact that such a number is even whispered speaks volumes about the allure of the rarest of the rare. As technology advances and new tools for authentication, imaging, and research become available, collectors are finding new ways to discover and document rare coins. Online communities, auction platforms, and databases allow collectors to compare notes, share discoveries, and track market trends like never before. And with each new discovery, the story of the 1981 penny grows richer and more intriguing. Ultimately, the true value of a 1981 penny, or any coin, isn't just measured in dollars. It's measured in stories. The story of a young nation honoring one of its greatest leaders. The story of artists and engravers crafting miniature masterpieces. The story of billions of coins minted, yet a few emerging as rare treasures. Perfect. Let's continue with part 3 of our deep and immersive YouTube script on the legendary 1981 1-cent United States coin, pushing even further into the fascinating depths of its story. We've discussed its design, composition, symbolism, varieties, and the factors that influence its value. We've explored the world of mint errors, grading, and the myths of astronomical prices. Now, in this part, we'll move into the stories behind the coin. The tales of collectors who struck gold, the legendary auctions that stunned the numismatic world, the techniques experts used to find hidden gems, and the investment potential of this tiny but powerful piece of history. And we'll go even deeper into why some people believe that a 1981 penny could be worth tens of millions of dollars, maybe even that fabled 99 million number you've heard whispered about online. To truly understand the modern obsession with the 1981 penny, you have to understand the psychology of collecting. Coin collecting, or numismatics, as it's formally known, is not just about money or metal. It's about stories, mysteries, and the pursuit of rarity. Collectors aren't just buying coins, they're buying pieces of history, tangible links to the past. And in the case of the Lincoln cent, they're buying a piece of America's soul. Abraham Lincoln is not just another president. He is a symbol of unity, sacrifice, and moral leadership. His face on a coin represents ideals that transcend economics, and that makes any rare or unusual Lincoln cent more than just an object. It becomes a relic, almost like a historical artifact. And among all the decades of Lincoln cents, 1981 stands out because it sits at a crossroads, a final chapter in the classic copper era and a bridge to the modern zinc era. This transitional moment gives the 1981 penny an inherent historical weight. It's a last-of-its-kind artifact, and collectors love lasts. Coins that mark the end of an era often become more valuable over time because they are definitive markers in the timeline of numismatic history. Think of the last silver dollars before clad coinage, or the final buffalo nickels before the Jefferson series. These coins consistently attract premium prices, and the 1981 penny fits that pattern perfectly. But beyond historical context, the 1981 penny also has an aura of mystery and potential that few other dates can match. This is partly because of the sheer number of varieties and errors known, and partly because there are still undiscovered treasures out there. Every year, new varieties are discovered even decades after the coins were minted. Sometimes a collector with a high-powered microscope spots a previously unknown doubled die. Sometimes a transitional error surfaces in a forgotten collection. These discoveries rewrite the price guides and make headlines in the collecting community. And every time a new discovery is made, it reignites the belief that there are still ultra-rare 1981 pennies hiding in plain sight. Consider the legendary doubled die cents of 1955 or 1969s. When they were first discovered, they were just oddities, curiosities that few people noticed. Today, they are icons of American numismatics, worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars each. The same is true for off-metal errors and transitional planchet mistakes. When the first known 1943 copper penny surfaced, it was an instant sensation. Only a handful were ever struck by accident during the war, and today those coins are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. One famously sold for over $1.7 million. Stories like that fuel speculation that a similar, once-in-a-generation discovery could emerge from the 1981 mintage dot, and here's where the talk of $99 million comes into play. While number 1981 penny has ever publicly sold for anywhere near that figure, the number often appears in online discussions and sensational articles about coins. It's partly clickbait, partly myth, but it's also a reflection of a deeper truth, that some collectors would indeed pay enormous sums for a truly unique specimen. If a coin were to combine multiple rare features, say, a dramatic doubled die on a transitional planchet in flawless condition with a verified provenance, it could indeed become one of the most valuable coins in history. Would it sell for $99 million? Probably not. But could it break the current records for a penny, which hover in the high 6 or 7 figures? Absolutely. And that potential fuels the excitement and speculation that surrounds the 1981 penny dot. But let's leave speculation aside for a moment and look at the real-world market. Over the past few decades, the value of high-grade and rare 1981 pennies has steadily increased. In the early 1990s, even top-grade mint-state examples rarely fetched more than a few $100s. Today, the same coins can sell for thousands. The demand for proof coins has also surged, especially cameo and deep cameo examples from the San Francisco Mint. And rare errors that might once have gone unnoticed are now hotly contested at auction, with collectors and investors bidding aggressively. This brings us to an important point: the rise of coin collecting as an investment. While many collectors are driven by passion and historical curiosity, there's no denying that coins have become a significant alternative asset class. They're tangible, finite, and often appreciate in value over time. And unlike stocks or bonds, they carry historical and artistic value that transcends their monetary worth. The 1981 penny, with its combination of historical significance, rarity potential, and collector demand, has become an attractive target for investors looking to diversify their portfolios with tangible assets. Successful investors and collectors alike know that knowledge is power. Spotting a valuable 1981 penny requires more than just luck, it requires a trained eye. The first step is always to check the coin's weight. As we mentioned before, a standard 1981 copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If a penny weighs significantly less, it could be a zinc transitional error or an off-metal strike. Next, examine the details under magnification. Look for signs of doubling on the date and lettering. Inspect the edges for clipping or misalignment, and check the reverse for anomalies in the memorials, columns, or lettering. Even subtle variations can dramatically increase a coin's value. Color and luster are also critical factors. Collectors classify Lincoln cents by color: red, RD, red-brown, RB, and brown, BN. A red coin retains nearly all of its original mint luster and is generally worth more than its red-brown or brown counterparts. This is especially true for older coins, where natural oxidation often darkens the surface over time. Finding a 1981 penny with a bright, fiery red luster is becoming increasingly rare and valuable. As the decades pass. Provenance is another element that can influence value. Coins with well-documented histories, especially those from famous collections or notable discoveries, often command higher prices. A 1981 penny from a legendary hoard or a coin featured in a major numismatic publication can fetch a premium simply because of its story. Collectors love a good story, and provenance adds a layer of narrative and authenticity that enhances a coin's appeal. Auction houses have played a significant role in shaping the market for rare 1981 pennies. Major firms like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have all seen high-grade or rare variety 1981 cents cross their auction blocks. While most sell for hundreds or thousands, a few exceptional examples have pushed well beyond those figures. And every time a new record is set, It raises the ceiling for what might be possible in the future. But perhaps the most fascinating part of this story is how many extraordinary coins are still out there waiting to be found. Millions of coin jars, piggy banks, and old collections sit untouched in basements, attics, and safety deposit boxes. Some contain nothing more than pocket change. But others may hold hidden treasures, rare varieties, mint errors, or pristine examples that have been quietly aging for over 40 years. That possibility keeps the hunt alive and ensures that the 1981 penny will continue to captivate collectors for generations to come. And let's not forget the human stories behind these coins. There's the tale of the young collector who, as a child, began sorting through pennies with a magnifying glass and years later discovered a rare variety worth thousands. There's the retired couple who inherited a coin collection and were astonished to learn that a single 1981 penny was the most valuable item in the entire lot. There's the seasoned dealer who spent decades chasing a rumored transitional error and finally acquired one after a chance encounter at a small-town coin show. These stories add a human dimension to the world of numismatics. A reminder that behind every coin is a story, and behind every story is a person. So, where does this leave us in the grand scheme of things? It leaves us with a simple truth: the 1981 penny is more than a piece of metal. It's a window into history, a work of art, a potential treasure, and a symbol of enduring human fascination with rarity and value. It embodies the idea that even the smallest, most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary secrets. And in a world where so much of our wealth is digital and intangible, the physical presence of a coin, especially one with such historical weight, is a comforting reminder of something real, something lasting. And maybe, just maybe, that's why the legend of the $99 million penny persists. Because deep down, we all love the idea that something so small and overlooked could hold unimaginable value. It speaks to a universal human hope, the hope of discovery, the hope of transformation. Generally worth more than its red-brown or brown counterparts. This is especially true for older coins, where natural oxidation often darkens the surface over time. Finding a 1981 penny with a bright, fiery red luster is becoming increasingly rare and valuable. As the decades pass. Provenance is another element that can influence value. Coins with well-documented histories, especially those from famous collections or notable discoveries, often command higher prices. A 1981 penny from a legendary hoard or a coin featured in a major numismatic publication can fetch a premium simply because of its story. Collectors love a good story, and provenance adds a layer of narrative and authenticity that enhances a coin's appeal. Auction houses have played a significant role in shaping the market for rare 1981 pennies. Major firms like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have all seen high-grade or rare variety 1981 cents cross their auction blocks. While most sell for hundreds or thousands, a few exceptional examples have pushed well beyond those figures. And every time a new record is set, it raises the ceiling for what might be possible in the future. But perhaps the most fascinating part of this story is how many extraordinary coins are still out there waiting to be found. Millions of coin jars, piggy banks, and old collections sit untouched in basements, attics, and safety deposit boxes. Some contain nothing more than pocket change. But others may hold hidden treasures, rare varieties, mint errors, or pristine examples that have been quietly aging for over 40 years. That possibility keeps the hunt alive and ensures that the 1981 penny will continue to captivate collectors for generations to come. And let's not forget the human stories behind these coins. There's the tale of the young collector who, as a child, began sorting through pennies with a magnifying glass and years later discovered a rare variety worth thousands. There's the retired couple who inherited a coin collection and were astonished to learn that a single 1981 penny was the most valuable item in the entire lot. There's the seasoned dealer who spent decades chasing a rumored transitional error and finally acquired one after a chance encounter at a small-town coin show. These stories add a human dimension to the world of numismatics. A reminder that behind every coin is a story, and behind every story is a person. So, where does this leave us in the grand scheme of things? It leaves us with a simple truth: the 1981 penny is more than a piece of metal. It's a window into history, a work of art, a potential treasure, and a symbol of enduring human fascination with rarity and value. It embodies the idea that even the smallest, most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary secrets. And in a world where so much of our wealth is digital and intangible, the physical presence of a coin, especially one with such historical weight, is a comforting reminder of something real, something lasting. And maybe, just maybe, that's why the legend of the $99 million penny persists. Because deep down, we all love the idea that something so small and overlooked could hold unimaginable value. It speaks to a universal human hope, the hope of discovery, the hope of transformation. Perfect. Let's dive into part 4 of our ultra-long script on the 1981 United States 1-cent coin, continuing the story with even more depth, detail, and narration as if this were a long-form YouTube documentary, spoken word style, still without headings, subtitles, or sections. Just a continuous flow of knowledge and storytelling that keeps the listener hooked from start to finish. By now you've come to understand that the 1981 Lincoln penny is not just a small copper disc with the face value of a single cent. It is an icon of American history, a canvas for minting artistry, a playground for collectors, and a treasure chest of possibilities. But to truly grasp how deep this rabbit hole goes, we need to explore the inner workings of the coin market itself. The dynamics of supply and demand, the psychology of collectors and investors, the stories behind record-breaking auctions, and the subtle factors that can push a coin's value from a few dollars to a few million. One of the most important truths in numismatics is that rarity alone is not enough to guarantee value. Rarity must meet demand. A coin can be unique, but if no one cares about it, its market price might remain modest. Conversely, a coin with moderate rarity but immense collector demand can skyrocket in price. The Lincoln Cent series has both. It is beloved by millions of collectors worldwide, and it contains layers of rarity and complexity that keep people searching, learning, and collecting year after year. Within that landscape, the 1981 penny holds a particularly strong position. It's part of the longest-running coin series in U.S. history, and it's from a pivotal transitional period. That combination ensures that demand will always be strong. Collector demand is often influenced by nostalgia. Many collectors who grew up in the 1970s and 1980s started their numismatic journeys by sorting through jars of pennies, looking for wheat cents or shiny new examples to fill their albums. The 1981 penny, being one of the last copper issues, often holds special sentimental value for those collectors. As those same people reach their peak earning years and have more disposable income, they often return to the hobby with renewed enthusiasm, seeking high-grade examples, rare varieties, and key dates to complete their sets. This resurgence of interest drives prices higher and higher over time. Another factor that fuels demand is registry set competition. Major grading services like PCGS and NGC host online registries where collectors can build competitive sets of coins and compare them against others. The higher the grade and rarity of the coins in a set, the higher the collector's ranking. This competitive aspect has created intense demand for top-grade coins. Even common dates can become extremely valuable if they are among the highest graded examples known. For the 1981 penny, this means that a mint state 68 or 69 red coin can command astronomical premiums simply because so few exist at that grade level. Let's talk about some actual examples of market behavior. One of the most fascinating trends in recent years has been the steady rise in value for high-end Lincoln cents from the late 1970s and early 1980s. A decade or two ago, few people paid much attention to these coins beyond face value. But as more collectors completed their wheat cent sets and turned their focus to the Memorial Reverse series, competition for top-graded coins intensified. Auction records show that prices for MS-68 red 1981 pennies have multiplied several times over the past 2 decades. Proof coins with deep cameo contrast from the San Francisco Mint have also seen significant appreciation, especially those certified by top grading services with population reports showing only a handful at the highest grades. Auction houses have become arenas for dramatic bidding wars. Imagine a room full of serious collectors and investors, each determined to own the finest known example of a particular coin. The auctioneer opens the bidding at a few $1,000s. Hands shoot up. The price climbs. 10,000. 20,000. 30,000. The tension builds as 2 or 3 determined bidders battle it out. Finally, the hammer falls, and a coin that once cost 1 cent has sold for a price equivalent to a luxury car or a down payment on a house. These scenes happen more often than most people realize, and they are a testament to the passion and deep pockets that fuel the numismatic world. Some of the most exciting stories come from private sales, which are often not publicly reported but can involve staggering sums. In these cases, wealthy collectors negotiate directly with each other or through trusted dealers to acquire rare coins for their personal collections. The details of these deals are often shrouded in secrecy, but they occasionally leak out, sparking rumors and speculation. Some of the most extreme price claims, including those infamous $99 million figures, likely stem from private negotiations, exaggerated reports, or speculative valuations rather than documented auction results. Nevertheless, they highlight the intense desire some collectors have to own truly unique pieces. It's also worth noting that the 1981 penny market extends far beyond the United States. Coin collecting is a global hobby, and American coins are among the most popular with collectors around the world. Foreign buyers often compete aggressively for rare American coins, especially iconic series like the Lincoln cent. This global demand further drives up prices and ensures that coins like the 1981 penny remain valuable and desirable for decades to come. For those who are new to collecting and dreaming of finding their own rare 1981 penny, it's important to understand how to approach the hunt. The first step is to educate yourself. Study reference books, online databases, and grading guides. Learn the differences between business strikes and proof coins, between red, red-brown, and brown designations, between minor machine doubling and true doubled dies. Knowledge is your most powerful tool. Next, build the right tools. A high-quality magnifier, a precision scale, and good lighting are essential for examining coins in detail. Many rare varieties and errors can only be identified under magnification, and weight differences can help you detect off-metal strikes or transitional planchets. Handling coins properly, by the edges and with cotton gloves, is also crucial to avoid damaging them and reducing their value. When searching for valuable 1981 pennies, consider multiple sources. Coin rolls from banks can sometimes yield surprising finds, especially if they come from older stock. Estate sales, flea markets, and garage sales are also excellent hunting grounds, as older collections often surface in these places. Coin shows and conventions offer opportunities to learn from experienced collectors and dealers, and online auctions provide access to coins from around the world. The more places you look, the better your chances of finding something special. And when you do find a coin that looks promising, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service. Professional authentication and grading not only confirm a coin's legitimacy but also significantly increase its market value. A raw coin might sell for a modest sum, but the same coin, encapsulated and graded by PCGS or NGC, could sell for many times more. Investment-minded collectors often view rare coins as part of a broader portfolio strategy. Unlike stocks, coins are tangible assets with intrinsic historical and collectible value. They can serve as a hedge against inflation and currency fluctuations, and they have the potential for substantial appreciation over time. While no investment is without risk, the historical performance of rare coins, especially iconic series like the Lincoln cent, has been remarkably strong. Of course, the key to success in coin investing is patience. The rare coin market can be cyclical, with periods of rapid growth followed by plateaus or corrections. Short-term price fluctuations are common, but over the long term, truly rare and high-quality coins almost always trend upward in value. For the 1981 penny, this means that top-graded coins, rare varieties, and spectacular errors are likely to become even more valuable in the decades ahead as their populations shrink and demand continues to grow. There's also the emotional reward that comes with collecting, something that can't be measured in dollars and cents. Holding a 1981 penny in your hand, knowing that it's one of the last copper cents ever made, that it carries the image of one of America's greatest leaders, and that it might hold secrets worth a fortune, is an experience that transcends money. It connects you to history, to art, to the countless people who have handled similar coins over the decades. It's a tangible link to the past and a testament to the enduring power of something as simple as a coin. The future of the 1981 penny market looks bright. As younger generations discover the joys of collecting, often inspired by viral videos, online forums, and social media, interest in classic coins is growing. New technologies, such as digital imaging and blockchain-based provenance tracking, are adding transparency and trust to the market, making it easier for collectors to buy and sell with confidence. And as the supply of high-grade coins dwindles due to time and attrition, the scarcity of top examples will only increase. Imagine, decades from now, a collector holding a flawless MS69 red 1981 penny, one of perhaps only a handful known. Imagine the bidding war that might erupt if such a coin crossed the auction block. Imagine the headlines when a previously unknown transitional error surfaces and sells for a sum that dwarfs every previous record. The possibilities are endless, and that is what keeps collectors and investors alike. Excellent. Let's continue this long, flowing YouTube script with part 5 of our deep exploration of the 1981 United States 1-cent coin, the legendary Lincoln penny. This part will continue the narrative tone, expanding even further into its historical depth, market forecasts, collector psychology, remarkable true stories, and the grand, almost mythical place this tiny copper coin holds in the world of numismatics. No headings, no subtitles, no section breaks, just a continuous, immersive narration designed for a long-form video script. As we journey deeper into the story of the 1981 penny, it's worth pausing for a moment to consider the incredible span of time that coins like this connect us to. The Lincoln cent was first minted in 1909, over a century ago, and in all those decades it has witnessed monumental shifts in society, technology, politics, and culture. From the horse and buggy era to the space age, from the Great Depression to the Internet revolution, the penny has been there, circulating silently, passing from hand to hand, observing history from pockets and purses. And the 1981 issue, minted near the end of the 20th century's great transformations, sits at a particularly interesting crossroads. To truly appreciate this coin's significance, we have to think not only about the minting process and the metal it's made of, but also about the broader economic and cultural forces at play at the time. The early 1980s were a period of change in the United States. Inflation had been high in the 1970s, commodity prices were fluctuating, and the government was rethinking how it produced its coinage. Copper prices had been steadily rising, and by 1981 the cost of producing a penny was approaching, and in some cases exceeding, its face value. This was a turning point for the U.S. Mint. The following year, they would switch to a cheaper zinc core with a thin copper coating, fundamentally altering the penny's composition. And that's why the 1981 coin is so symbolic. It's not just another year, it's the last full breath of an era. It's the final time America minted billions of copper cents before economics forced a change. And this is part of why collectors treasure 1981 pennies. They are the end of an age, the last of the true copper Lincolns, coins that feel different in the hand, that ring differently when dropped, that carry a weight, both literally and figuratively, that their zinc descendants simply don't. They are a tangible connection to a time when pennies were still made from the same rich metal they had been since the 19th century. For many collectors, that makes them inherently more desirable, even before you consider condition, rarity, or errors. This sense of historical continuity is one of the reasons coin collecting has such enduring appeal. Every coin is a story frozen in metal. Every scratch, every mark, every tiny variation tells a tale. Some coins were part of epic journeys, crossing the country in wagons or trains. Others sat untouched in bank vaults or safety deposit boxes, their pristine surfaces preserved for decades. Some were minted in huge numbers and forgotten, while others were produced in tiny quantities and became legends. And all of them, from the rarest gold pieces to the most common pennies, are tiny witnesses to history. Among collectors, stories of great finds are almost as valuable as the coins themselves. One of the most famous stories in modern numismatics is that of the 1943 copper penny, a coin that was never supposed to exist. During World War II, the mint switched to steel planchets to save copper for the war effort. But a few copper planchets were left in the machines, and pennies were accidentally struck from them. Today, those coins are among the most valuable in the world, with single examples selling for hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars. That story has fueled generations of treasure hunters, and it's part of why so many people examine their pennies so carefully, because the next great discovery could be hiding in plain sight. The same spirit of discovery applies to the 1981 penny. While it was minted in huge numbers, the possibility of rare varieties, dramatic errors, and transitional planchets keeps collectors searching. And there's always the chance, however slim, that a truly unique piece could emerge, rewriting the record books and capturing the imagination of the numismatic world. This possibility is what drives people to search through jars of change, to attend coin shows, to pore over rolls from the bank. It's a blend of history, science, and treasure hunting, and for many collectors, that's what makes the hobby so addictive. Let's talk about some of the most remarkable auction stories connected to Lincoln cents, including 1981 examples. While number 1981 penny has yet shattered the $1 million mark in a public sale, several have achieved astonishing prices relative to their face value. High-grade business strikes in MS-68 red condition have sold for thousands of dollars. Proof coins with deep cameo contrast have fetched even more. And rare era coins, particularly those involving dramatic doubling or off-metal strikes, have sparked fierce bidding wars. In one memorable sale, a 1981 penny with a significant off-center strike and partial collar error sold for over $7,000, a staggering sum for a coin with a face value of 1 cent. In another instance, a proof 1981's penny graded PR70 deep cameo, one of the highest grades possible, was snapped up by a collector eager to complete a top-ranked registry set for several $1,000. And while these prices might not seem astronomical compared to the $1 million realm of ancient rarities or classic gold coins, they are extraordinary when you consider the original value of the coin. A 1-cent piece selling for thousands represents a return on investment of hundreds of thousands of percent. And then there are the coins that never make it to public auction, the private sales that happen quietly, often between elite collectors. These are the deals that fuel speculation about ultra-high valuations. While details are scarce, it's widely believed that some unique, or nearly unique era coins from the late copper era have changed hands for 6 or even 7 figures in private transactions. And because these deals are not reported publicly, the numismatic community can only speculate. This secrecy is part of what gives rise to those legendary figures, the $99 million penny stories, the whispered tales of coins so rare that collectors would pay any price to own them. Looking ahead, the market for rare pennies, including the 1981 issue, is poised to continue growing. Several trends support this. First, the number of high-grade coins is naturally shrinking. Time is the enemy of condition. Every year, more coins are damaged, cleaned, or lost, reducing the population of top-quality examples. Second, global demand for U.S. coins is rising as more collectors from around the world enter the market. Third, new technologies and platforms are making it easier than ever for collectors to buy, sell, and learn about coins, increasing liquidity and interest. And fourth, as traditional investments like stocks and real estate become more volatile, tangible assets like rare coins are becoming increasingly attractive as stores of value. Some experts predict that we may see a significant revaluation of high-end modern coins in the coming decades. Just as classic cars from the 1960s and 1970s skyrocketed in value as baby boomers entered their peak collecting years, so too could coins from the 1970s and 1980s as those who grew up with them seek to reclaim a piece of their past. In that scenario, a top-grade 1981 penny could become a highly sought-after prize, commanding prices that dwarf today's levels. Another fascinating angle to consider is the educational and historical role that coins like the 1981 penny can play. Museums, historical societies, and educational institutions are increasingly using coins as teaching tools to help students understand economics, art, and history. A single coin can open the door to discussions about monetary policy, industrial technology, political leadership, and national identity. The 1981 penny, with its connections to Lincoln, the shift from copper to zinc, and the economic realities of its time, is particularly rich in educational value. This broader cultural significance can also contribute to its collectability and desirability. And yet, even with all of this information, the real magic of the 1981 penny lies in the unknown. There are still mysteries to be solved, varieties to be discovered, stories to be written. Perhaps somewhere in a forgotten mint bag lies a batch of coins with an unrecorded double die. Perhaps a single transitional era rests unnoticed in a family collection, waiting to be discovered by a keen-eyed collector. Perhaps a proof coin struck with an experimental finish was tucked away decades ago and will one day surface, shocking the collecting world. These unknowns are part of what keeps the hobby vibrant and exciting. At the heart of it all, though, is something simple and timeless. The 1981 penny, like all coins, is a reminder that value is not always obvious. Something that seems insignificant, a coin so small and common that most people barely notice it, can hold immense worth if you know what to look for. It's a lesson that resonates beyond numismatics. It's about paying attention, about looking closer, about understanding the stories behind the objects that surround us. And it's about the possibility that something extraordinary might be hiding in the most ordinary of places. So the next time you hold a 1981 penny, take a moment to appreciate it. Feel its weight, heavier than the pennies that came after. Study its design, the noble profile of Lincoln, the stately columns of the memorial. Think about the